Violent clashes escalated between the armed wings of Palestinian political factions Fatah and Hamas. The bloody Battle of Gaza has resulted in Hamas taking control of the Gaza Strip, which Israel withdrew from in 2005.
جميع مقرات الشرطة الفلسطينية لم نمسها أبدا، وبإمكانها القيام بدورها الآن جنبا إلى جنب مع القوة التنفيذية في قطاع غزة.
Hamas fighters surrounded the headquarters of Fatah in Gaza, where 500 Fatah fighters were holed up. Hamas militants attacked the building, and after several hours of intense fighting, took control of the headquarters. The International Committee of the Red Cross estimated that over 550 people were wounded, and at least 118 were killed during the fighting. Israel responded to the Hamas victory by effectively sealing Gaza off from the outside world. Hamas and the State of Israel have historically refused to recognize each other. It is no secret that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the most hotly debated topics of the century, with violence enacted from both sides against each other. But fighting between internal Palestinian factions is new. Conflict between Fatah and Hamas had been simmering since Hamas won the legislative elections in January 2006, and has continued to this very day, though it began with the death of longtime PLO leader Yasser Arafat in 2004. The two factions began battling at the end of 2006, each trying to assume political control of the Palestinian territories. Fighting broke out in the West Bank after Palestinian security forces fired on a Hamas rally in December 2006. The fighting continued to early 2007, and several ceasefire attempts failed, being broken by continued battles. In mid-May of 2007, the second round of fighting began again in the streets of Gaza, and in less than 20 days, more than 50 Palestinians were killed. But in the third and harshest round of fighting yet, last week, Hamas took over the Gaza Strip.
هذا جنون، الجنون الذي يحصل في غزة الآن ليس هناك طرف واحد يتحمل، كل من يحمل السلاح ويطلق النار ويعتدي أو يهاجم هو المسؤول، ولذلك مبدئيا يجب أن يتوقف الجميع.
In the past 2 years, many developments have taken place to further complicate the Israeli-Palestinian case, beginning with the withdrawal of Israel from Gaza on September 12, 2005. Barely 6 months later, in the beginning of 2006, Hamas, the political party termed the terrorist organization, to the horror of the international community, won the Palestinian election.
The United States does not support political parties that want to destroy our ally Israel.
In shock, Western donors set criteria for continuing aid, known as the Three Demands.
Future assistance to any new government would be reviewed by donors against that government's commitment to the principles of nonviolence, recognition of Israel, and the acceptance of previous agreements and obligations, including the roadmap.
When these criteria were not met, aid was cut 3 months later in April 2006 in an effort to isolate the democratically elected Hamas government. But perhaps the person who is most forgotten in all this is the Palestinian citizen, who in addition to running the risk of being killed every day, can no longer maintain a sufficient standard of living. In 2006, the average GDP in the Gaza Strip was less than $1,500, the same as Mozambique and less than Rwanda. What is on the horizon for Palestine and its citizens? Only time will tell. El-Katatney, Solia, Egypt.